Hear you just fine. I'm just doing a roll call. Serge Moreland, are you with us?
I am. How are you doing?
Great, great. And Michael.
Yes, I'm here, Charlene. Thanks for having me
Michael
on.
Imhotep.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. And I know, Michael, you might have to cut out at any time because you two are on the air right after I go off. You have a show.
Yeah.
There's always
11 p.m.
So let's just start with the attorney. Let's start with the attorney. From a legal standpoint, Attorney Todd Perkins, let's go to the Ahmaud Arbery trial first, because that is the one that 3 white men are accused of chasing him down because he was jogging. They say they thought he was out there to rob homes or steal, or anyway, he ended up dead. The judge admonished the prosecutor, or the defense attorney actually, a couple of times. It just got nasty. It really just a little bit crazy. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, first let's start off with, and thank you for having me tonight. We have to start off with where this case started. I think it was February 11th when this young man was killed, shot down in cold blood, actually defending himself. How many months? Almost 3 months went by before the charges even came through. It had to be a public outcry in order for someone to do something about it. And my hat's off to, there was a former federal prosecutor who started engaging officials, and it took someone on that level to engage law enforcement. And when I say law enforcement, I'm talking about the prosecution side, to actually move forward to doing anything. Because this case just sat around. And then, the video came out and all these things came out. And there's, it seems to be a small town, or it's a smaller town because you have some conflict of interest. And I think McMichael was the father, and the other son, I think it's Travis is the son, Gregory McMichael is the father, were in one of these offices. So as an investigator, and, it was problematic from the outset. So the tone is where it's at. Now, this is the case. Let's keep it straight. I mean, this is because there's so much going on in both of these cases. And to the point, I mean, look, these are racial issues in both cases. In the case in Wisconsin, although the people, the victims, who the judge will not allow the prosecution to call victims, were white, we're talking about a Black Lives Matter protest.
It was a protest, and there were white people there supporting the Black Lives Matter protest, and that's who died. He killed 2 white men and shot a third person who was also a white man. Now, I believe he was 17 at the time of the murders or the killings. He's from Illinois. His mother drove him over to another state. He had a gun that he was not old enough to purchase. Someone purchased it for him. And at his age, he was carrying that gun in a state that did not allow people his age to. So there's a lot of crimes going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of crimes, but, there's a lot of privilege being thrown around here, too. This is, so much to talk about in each one of these cases that, you set aside an hour to talk about it, and hopefully we can even scrape the surface on it. But, it's a lot of privilege in that Rittenhouse case. He has people, a lot of PAC money, well, I don't want to call it PAC money, but money that's been fueled into his particular case. I mean, these kids on bond. These kids have some I have to admit, some of the defense work is they're very good lawyers in that case. But getting back to Ahmaud Arbery. So in that case, one thing that happened, I don't know if it was today or whether it was yesterday. So there's been a lot of support for the families from, figureheads and looming figures in the African-American community, like Al Sharpton and other pastors who have come to sit by the side of the family. So this white lawyer, he gets up in court. I would have lost it. As a lawyer, I would have lost it. I mean, any lawyer that works at Perkins Law Group, we would have lost it. And I know one in particular.
And I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
So do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
And I will quote. I'm looking at the quote. Okay. Verbatim, he said, "We don't want any more black pastors coming here." The defense attorney said that in open court. We don't want any more black pastors coming here.
Whether right or wrong, I would have cut him off. Right?
You don't want Jesse Jackson or whoever. Well, it was Al Sharpton. He didn't know the difference between the two. To me, that was like just so insulting. So insulting.
Well, not even
get away with that.
But insulting, but it shows how the fabric of America is weaved with an element of hatred for African Americans that rises to a level that we thought had been first.
Let's get our other two. Let's get our other two opinions. Because I want to hear from them because we have to go to a break at 15.
Yes.
They're putting more breaks in the show now. Michael Imhotep.
Yes.
I know you're following this thing.
Well, yeah, I've been reporting on it basically every night. The trial today was day 5 of the McMichael Bryan trial in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. So when we look at the trial, if we just take a minute and back up for a minute here, the claim that Gregory McMichael, the father, and Travis McMichael, the son, are making, and William Roddy Bryan, the neighbor, initially said at a press conference, he said he was just a bystander, but we find out based upon body camera footage from one of the officers on the scene that he was actually involved in cornering Ahmaud. They claim that they were making a citizen's arrest. Okay, they claim they were making a citizen's arrest. However, when they were chasing Ahmaud for 5 minutes, they never said citizen's arrest. When they called him, they never said citizen's arrest. This is something that lead prosecutor Linda Dunikowski talked about in court. 2, the citizen's arrest law they're citing dates back, and it's important for people to understand this. It dates back to 1863. During the Civil War, when Georgia was part of the Confederacy. It's an 1863 law when Georgia was part of the Confederacy, committing treason against the U.S., taking up arms to maintain slavery, and the law was targeting fugitive runaway slaves who were running away from Georgia plantations to run behind Union lines. This is the origin of the law of the citizen's arrest law that they're citing. Now, the law was subsequently repealed in May of 2021 after the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. And the citizen's arrest law states that you have to witness somebody committing a crime, and it largely deals with retail theft, like in modern times, largely deals with like retail theft. You have to witness somebody committing a crime or have some knowledge that someone committed a crime. Okay. In this case, neither one exists. And when you look at a couple of days ago, it was on November 9th in the testimony, Gregory McMichael, the father, gave 2 conflicting statements to police officers on the scene. Then he gives conflicting statements to officers at the police station. On the scene, he said that Ahmaud Arbery had been recorded by security cameras, quote, breaking in all these houses out here, end quote. But when he's at the police station and he's talking to Detective Marcy Parker, okay, when he's talking to Detective Parker Marcy, I should say, when he's talking to the detective, he said that Ahmaud had targeted a single home. When he was talking to the officers at the scene of the killing, he said Ahmaud had been on security cameras breaking into all these homes. So right there, you see conflicting statements given to police. Okay, so this is a very deep case, and they have no evidence. They have no evidence that Ahmaud committed any crimes.
Absolutely. We have 2 minutes. I'd like the search to just chime in. I know you are an avid news watcher. As a layperson, as a person who's very active in community, and you have a strong voice, and you always get involved in Black issues. What are you thinking from the time that this occurred, but basically about this trial and how it's going?
So a couple of things. I like to preface my statement by saying it's always about anti-Blackness. Always. I'm sorry there. So let's start with Ahmaud Arbery. The district attorney who accused herself, Jackie Johnson, that's an elected position, by the way, because she worked with the father for some time, and that she recused herself. However, she had advised the police not to arrest the father and son, and consequently, the only way any of this came to light is because there was a video. So imagine if someone advises the police not to arrest someone who murdered a person, and had there been no video, we wouldn't be talking about this. It would be an open and shut case, and that would be the end of it. So Black people only did.
Again, the video is shot by one of the people that's accused.
Exactly.
William Reddy.
Only the consideration for justice if our experiences are stemmed. And even then, we may not receive justice. I mean, the entire situation is absurd. However, back to Jackie Johnson, it's my understanding that the second DA also suggested that, not suggested, but said that the police, or rather the father and son, did not commit any crime, that it was self-defense, and so on and so forth. And as Michael said, Mr. Imhotep said, if they in fact, and they didn't, witness Ahmaud Arbery committing the crime, then they have no ground to stand on in terms of making a citizen arrest. So then
it seems like we always have to take a break. We have new break times, and since we get into a conversation, we have to go. So everybody hold your thought. We're talking about the two trials. We'll talk about the Rittenhouse trial when we come back on the other side of the break, and more about the Ahmaud Arbery case as well. Don't go away. Our number is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. Chime in. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Over 50 years.
Stand by, everybody. Stand by. We're on break, back from break in 4 minutes. My show will be on at 11 p.m. I'm on Charlene Mitchell's show right now. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Back from break in 3 minutes. So on my show at 11 p.m., we'll talk about what happened in court today in the McMichael trial. We'll talk about defense attorney Kevin Gao saying he didn't want any more black pastors coming to the courtroom in support of sitting in the courtroom. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk more about the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and how it will help the African American community. Stand by.
Large-scale images captured the soul of the 1960s movement, celebrating Black style and identity. See more than 40 stunning studio portraits, fashion work, and behind-the-scenes images of Harlem's 60s era artistic and jazz community. Admission is always free for residents of Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. More information and reservations at dia.org/blackisbeautiful.
Attention. In July 2018, Bayer announced that it will be halting its sales of Assure. The Assure birth control may break.
Stand by.
Nine 10, the Super Station, the oldest radio station in town since 1922. It's time for Mind Your Business with Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist Charlene Mitchell.
Back here on Mind Your Business. I'm your host, Mitchell, and I have with me tonight attorney Todd Perkins. We have Sturge Moreland and my 9:10 a.m. colleague, Michael Imhotep. We are talking right now about the trial of the three white men, Travis McMichael, Jeffrey McMichael, and William Roddy. I can't remember his last name. We call him Roddy.
Brian.
They're all accused of murdering Ahmaud Arbery. The case has been very volatile. Attorney Perkins, when you look at how this trial has gone, have they gotten off? Since they've gotten off track a couple of times. Very spirited, for lack of a better word. Some are saying that the judge is not fair. Some are saying that the prosecutor is, to this or to that, and that the defense lawyers are taking over. What do you see when you look at this trial?
Okay, we're talking about the Rittenhouse trial.
There's only one black juror. One black juror.
No, are we talking about the Rittenhouse or are we talking about the Arbery?
No, we're not on Rittenhouse yet. We're still on Arbery.
Okay. Well, in this case, there's a lack of control in the dynamic that's set up. It's going to come down to really the circumstances. It's going to come down to the jury who's listening to the case. We have no idea, and for privacy concerns, they don't go to see who the jury makeup is. They have ostracized by the way that the lawyers or the defense lawyers have posited themselves in this particular case. I'm stepping outside of. There's so many other different considerations, and I think that the judge should have chastised that lawyer. When we took a break, we were talking about he was like no other black pastors. Number one, why does blacks enter into it if that's not the focal point of this trial in the first place? So if that is the case, let's call it what it is and let's be honest about it. But they're not going to do that, and at the end of the day, this is what they're doing. They're putting that black juror in an untenable position to the extent that, he is the focal point, and they believe, and see, the thing is, that's the racist ideations of white people who believe that just because he's the one black juror that they should obviously be concerned about him. But there's a lot of times that you see white jurors don't want to tolerate it, don't want to tolerate being considered and looked at in a particular way as identifying as being racist either. So, there's another concern that you have in here in the manner in which the defense went and struck all of the black jurors that they could after this trial. And so that was a concern that happened during the course of this trial in trying to vet it and get rid of any black people in and of itself. And now that there's only one remaining, now they're coming up and saying, no more black pastors, because they're trying to, they're not saying influence that particular jury, they're saying influence the jury. I mean, we know what this is. So I think that this trial really got off to the wrong start at the beginning with the manner in which the judge allowed jury selection to take place. I think cases are won and lost in jury selection. I mean, don't get me wrong. You've got to manage the evidence. You've got to critique the opposing side's evidence and challenge that evidence at every point in time, that you can legitimately do so from a factual and from a very real and practical perspective. But at the end of the day, trials are typically won and lost in jury selection. And if this case, if my heart goes out to that family, it's big because they didn't get justice. You know what I'm saying? This thing is, here's another thing what I was going to say about the underlying circumstances in this case. I don't know if Michael was saying it or your other guest was talking about it, is and they are very astute on the facts in this case, even beyond myself from understanding what's going on in this particular trial. But the inception of this case, with the video itself, there was some type of contrived behavior that took place in this particular case. And that's the framework that needs to be developed in this case. Because why was he videotaping? Why was the third guy who's videotaping this? Why was he videotaping? Unless they knew what those individuals were intending to do and what they were going to do. I know they're going to shape it and say that they were using it for some other purposes. But no, that's the purpose that they used it for. And it was a lynching that's placed on video. So, but again,
I'm probably sorry that he shot the video today. He probably wishes he had not shot it because he's actually on trial with the other two.
Absolutely. I mean, he's as much involved too. They went out before this.
Put yourself in the courtroom. If you were the defense attorney or the prosecutor, take whichever role you want, what would you do differently? Because I know you would be the defense attorney, but if you were prosecuting this case, how could you convince a jury that these men are guilty? I mean, we have a dead man. I don't know what more it takes. We have video of the man being alive 1 minute and dead the next. Apparently, that's not always enough.
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to make sure that this jury is aware of the improprieties that took place as best I can. Because a lot of times judges want to say that I'm sanitizing a case, I'm cleansing the case from outside influences, but I'm going to try to allow and bring in influences that, to the extent that I don't violate his rights. I don't want to violate his right to give this individual a basis for an appeal. But what I'm also going to do is create a construct of the improprieties that permeate this trial, as from the onset. How long it took. I'm going to go into how long it took this individual to get tried and the preferential treatment and the
he was killed in February of 2020. 2020, February.
No, it was more
now in November 21.
Right. No, I understand that. No, I'm not talking about when the trial took place, because people can argue that trials took so long because of COVID. What I'm talking about is from the inception of this event, how long it took before they were even charged. And not to mention the fact that these law enforcement officials were not going to charge. If there was no video, we really wouldn't be sitting here looking at a trial. We would just be mourning the death of another black man, and it might not have escaped New Brunswick or that part of that coastal portion of Georgia. As far as now, it's an international story, but it might not have even escaped that if we had not had video. And so.
I don't mean to rush anybody, but we have to take all these breaks and try to get everybody in on this. All eyes are on this. I've been watching the Black News Channel, which is kind of like a CNN, but from a black perspective. And I've kind of gotten hooked on it with the anchor people and the reporters.
Right.
You get a different perspective. I think more of a, it's not a rush, they're more in-depth stories. Michael,
yes.
What is your, just overall, when you look at this, do you even have the feeling that there will be a conviction?
In the McMichael Bryan trial, yeah, I think they're going to be convicted because one of the things the prosecution has been doing.
Ahmaud Arbery. What we're talking about, the Ahmaud Arbery.
It's the McMichael Bryan trial. Ahmaud Arbery is not on trial. Greg McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan are on trial. It's the McMichael Bryan trial. in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. One of the things the prosecution has been doing is they have had police officers who arrived on the scene read the statements given to them by Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, the father, and William Bryan, that came from body camera footage. The statements are very damaging because they did not say citizens arrest when they were chasing Ahmaud, and they didn't say that they were trying to effectuate a citizen's arrest when they talked to the police on the scene. Okay. And then also Greg McMichael also stated that he had no evidence that Ahmaud stole anything from the house on Satilla Drive and Satilla Shores, the house that was under construction. The house had been open for a year with no doors and no windows. Okay. And we saw that the one of the defense attorneys tried to smear Ahmaud and say that he was plundering around in the house. He was on video plundering around in the house. He was walking around. Okay. He didn't steal anything. And today, Larry English Jr., who owns the house under construction, he testified. He talked about the fact that Ahmaud was on video, but he didn't steal anything because English set up security video.
You know what that music means?
Yeah.
That music means we have to go to a break.
Right.
Stay with us, Michael, Serge.
Well, I got to run. I got to get ready for my show. I'm on at 11 p.m. I got to run, Charlene. Thanks for having me.
Over 50 years, Detroit-based First Independence Bank has served the community.
All right. All right, guys. I'll be back at 11 p.m. I have to get ready for my show. It's 10:30. I have to go. That was Charlene Mitchell's show, Mind Your Business. I told her I could only do 10 p.m. to 10:30 because my show was on at 11 p.m. I have to get ready for my show. So we'll be back in 30 minutes. Talk to you later. Peace.